It right. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Zoph, and you are watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. As always, I'm handing it off to my co-host Lucas so I can do geek girl stuff. Take it away,
Hi,
Lucas.
everybody. Everybody, how you doing tonight? Welcome to Simply SCAdian, no title required. As always, our mission is to bring you people from throughout the known world who are holding up the society day to day. Again, we always say it, we love our people who've obtained peerage, but we needed a forum to showcase those people who maybe just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe they don't want to get there. Maybe they like where they play, but they have just as much value and just as much to say about the society as anybody else does. So with that, we would love you to give us some ideas. We would love you to reach out to us. Let us know who it is and who your local barony, your corner of the world, that is an interesting person that does any of the number of things that we are known for in the SCA. Again, we'll talk to anybody: fighters, brewers, vinters, weavers. We've had some phenomenal people over on, I think we're in our third season now. Is that correct? We're in our
We
third.
are in our third, nearing
Our
the end
third
of our
season.
third season.
Yeah, we are nearing the end of the third season, everybody. So and look out for that, because we're kind of already talking about our bigger show that will end us in June. So stay tuned for that announcement. But tonight, well, I got to give the commercial. Hold on a second. So make sure you go on the Facebook page. Make sure you find the form there, fill it out. If you would like to talk to us, if you have somebody who you think we'd like to talk to, make sure you fill out that form. Tonight, we are talking to Tiberius of York, squire to Christian Thomas of York, and he comes to us by way of Atlantia. Started playing in 2017, April, so it's an anniversary for you. We're now in April.
Happy anniversary, 5 years.
5 years. You squired at Penzig War back in 2019 and started a relationship with your wife at this previous Penzig?
No, the
It
2019.
was at the Penzig where I squired.
Oh, all right. You're into looming, armoring, cooking. So we'll have plenty of things to talk about. And as far as your service is concerned, Shire's Web Minister, Baronial Heavy Champion, Baronial Herald Deputy, Baronial Herald, and Heavy Marshal. Tiberius, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so
I've
much.
been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of fun. We love the conversations we have. So we're going to start this off in our traditional way. Tiberius, how did you find the SCA?
Well, I found the SCA actually through my best friend and a dating app. So we had a Baroness move down here from Ethelmark in Endless Hills, and she just needed to get away from the cold of Pennsylvania winters. So she moved down to Atlantia's coast, and those two actually met. They were both teachers, and he actually taught her daughter. So they met when she first moved down, and then a couple of years went by, and the two of them found each other on a dating app. And then, he invited me out to dinner with her, for vetting purposes, as you do. And while we were at this dinner, she realized that the world had played a humongous joke by not letting the SCA find me. So she invited me to a regional fighter practice that happened the week after, and the rest, as they say, is history.
What is it that drew you to the SCA?
Everything. I will be really honest with you. I am in the mundane world. I'm an artist. I always have been. I was an athlete in school, and I'm always going down rabbit holes. And I have found my fix. Yeah.
No, keep going.
Yeah, no, I found my fix. Every time I get bored, a little twinge of boredom with something, there's 50 other things to go chasing. And it's really broadened my horizons as far as how I live my life and the different things that I do, fitness, everything. It's just been absolutely wonderful.
So what rabbit hole was first? I mean, most people's general story is I was a fighter first. Was that the case for you, or did you start somewhere else?
Oh, definitely. I was all about it. I had been trying to organize my friends to go out in the yard with kendo sticks and Japanese armor and fight each other back in my early 20s. I did professional wrestling, I played football, did track, all of it. So I was always looking for that cross of, just utter geekdom right along with something that I could do with some athletic prowess. And it hooked me right in. They duct taped me into some armor because I'm a bigger boy. I'm somewhere around at the time I was somewhere around 6 foot 350, and so they were sitting there duct taping me into the loner armor and letting me get some passes. Unfortunately, they couldn't find a helm that was big enough to fit my head, so we had to have one custom built for my head so I could get in. So the like 6 month wait of getting the helmet built just made it 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just hooked in. And then, while I was getting ready for the helm, I was already starting to collect pieces of sports armor and clothing and things like that. And as I went to events, you just started finding more things.
So you were in the SCA for 2 years and then you became a squire. Who's your knight and how did that come into being?
Okay. So, my knight is Sir Christian Thomas of York. Um, and the way that I actually met Sir Christian, we were attending War of the Wings, which is our kingdom's, largest war and everything like that. And the camp that we were going to stay in kind of fell apart the week before we were supposed to leave. Our first real big camping event and everything. And so we actually got passed off to another knight in the kingdom, Bryce de Byram, and we went in and they gave us shelter and everything like that. And Bryce happened to be camping in a camp with 4 or 5 other knights, and Sir Christian was one of those knights. He was actually the camp organizer, and as we sat around and got to talking, we just had a really good rapport and everything like that. And the more I got to know him, the more I started realizing this is my guy. And yeah, I don't think I've gone 24 hours without talking to him or sending some kind of text since before I got squired.
Lucas. Wow,
Oh,
how nice that a dependent contacts their peer often.
I feel like I'm being called out. I feel like I'm being.
Oh no, did some salt fall in the wrong place?
It's just like this. You got it. Yeah. So did you approach him or did he come to you?
I approach him. He does not recruit. He is a humongous stickler for that. His whole philosophy on it is he does his thing. If you're drawn to it, you're drawn to it. If you're not, you're not. And with the personal relationship and his views on going about things in the SCA, I was a moth to a flame. No regrets.
So, what is your favorite fighting style?
Um, oof. Right now I'm sword and shield all the way. Sword and shield. When I first really started, I started off with sword and shield, and then I had a period where I did great sword for about a year or so, and then I realized that without passive defense, you're going to lose a lot of fights and get hit a lot. So I kind of warmed back up to sword and shield very quickly. From there, I've just dabbled around with other things, other weapons forms, but sword and shield is really where I'm at right now.
That's your thing. So I noticed behind you. Wait a minute, it's my turn. It's not my turn, but I'm going anyway because I'm the Laurel. So behind you, I notice some heraldry on a banner. Is that your personal heraldry hanging behind you?
Yes, it is.
What is it?
Yes, it is. It is a white skull with black and green gyrony.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you're wearing something that has a helmet on that. Is that your household device?
It's actually my grand knight's device that has been passed down to my knight, and we as squires started adopting it into our things as well. So yeah, the golden horned helm of Olaf Askelson, who was actually the grand knight to half the knights in the kingdom. Old school Atlantia. He was one of the probably one of the first 10 kings in our kingdom.
So you start fighting, and then in your bio it says you're a heavy marshal for the barony, I would assume, or
yeah,
just,
actually, I got a marshal it right before COVID hit. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I've gotten this marshalate, and now I can be a marshal for heavy and run practices and everything. And then with COVID, it just kind of kiboshed all of it.
Have you been able to run practices now, though, that the things have started to come back? Or
I've been attending a lot of practices. I really haven't had to run any practices. We have for being in the middle of nowhere, we actually have a large group of fighters in our area. I think last time I looked, our town only had like less than 10,000 people. And within a 10-mile radius, we actually have somewhere around 7 squires and about 5 or 6 unbelts or black belts.
wow.
Yeah.
So
all it is, really all running practices is just saying, hey, y'all want to go out to the park? Yeah, let's go.
Have you started to train any new people yourself? Kind of pass that down, or?
We all work with our new people as they show up. I don't think any of us in the area have really taken anyone from the ground floor up exclusively. Because, we realize if we don't train up and we don't recruit, then we won't have anyone new to fight. We won't have anyone new to play with. We won't have anyone new to share A&S stuff with. We won't have anyone new to do anything with. So really, we take the newcomers in as a community and try to build them up, especially with not having any knights that live within 2 hours of us. So we try to foster it up.
Do you actively recruit, like, from the neighborhood and towns and whatnot?
We do here and there, but honestly, with social media being the way that it is these days, we almost don't have to. We go on our pages, we post up about what we do, and then with our town being the size of it that it is, word just spreads. We also really believe in having public practices and going to, the most visible parks and having our fighter practices and things like that. And, people build from there. So it's really been passive, but it's been effective.
Okay.
And all of us absolutely love what we do, so none of us ever shut up about it. So really, everyone that we talk to knows about what we do and, things like that. And then word of mouth gets around and people, they come.
I mean, you guys sound really lucky, because one of the common things we talk about is how to get new people in the door, how to foster that. And it's difficult sometimes, depending on the area, to kind of get people through the door and get them to stay,
Oh, I agree completely. Now, the barony that I play with is actually based about 45 minutes south of where I actually live. Where I actually live is a new, budding, incipient shire. And, when it's a newer thing, so the shire's just come around in the past year. And I already had a job with the barony as it was. I am a court herald if there ever was one. So yeah, really, I kind of stayed with the barony. But the barony to the south of us, they actually have a lot of problems recruiting. It's based in a military town, and people are just floating in and out all the time. So they have unique challenges. in, where the barony is based at, versus a town where a lot of people just move in and stay and retire and do what they do.
So what is your goal? Like if you look at the big picture for yourself, where do you see yourself with your group in 5 years?
Growth. Just straight growth. With our group in 5 years, everyone's always, focused on, I don't know, keeping the thing alive and just keeping it afloat and everything like that. Really, with the local groups, my big goal is just growth. I spent 37 years of my life trying to find something like this. And I found it, right around, 36, 37, somewhere along in there. And to the people that need this, to the people that need a sense of community, to the people that need a sense of family, to the people that would be interested in something like this, the big thing is just letting them know that we're here, and just letting them know that they have a place to come and be themselves and learn about all kinds of different things. So really, it's not just, my big goal isn't sustaining. Sustaining is going to happen because we love what we do and we're going to keep on doing it. But growth, finding the people that need this, finding the people that need family and community, finding the outcasts that have been looking for something that they can get out and do and explore. That's my goal. That's what I want to see. I want to see the people that need us find us.
Well, all right. So let's talk about finding people. So you also met your wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us how that went down.
Okay. So originally I met my wife at the same exact War of the Wings where I met my knight. It was all the same encampment. We come pulling up, and here this lady comes walking across camp looking like she had just walked out of a painting. And she was sitting there playing a hammer dulcimer. And, she came up to us and said, "Hey, look, once y'all get settled, let me know. I got stuff for y'all to eat. Just, calm down, take care of it." And then later on that night, she completely blew our socks off again because she's a very well-known bard in the kingdom and the known world for the most part. And so, from listening to her sing around the campfire and things like that, she really caught my attention. And then, unfortunately, I was already kind of set up with someone else. Then, we were together for a couple of years, and as things do, it just didn't work out. And then, that Pensick, where I went to go get squired, we just hit it off. She was in a really bad situation as far as relationships go, and she was looking for a change, and I was completely single and coming out of a horrid relationship, and it just kind of worked out. We clicked, and the next thing I knew, we were inseparable. Very much so.
Was she a Laurel when you met her?
No, she was not.
Okay.
No, she was not. Let's see, I would have met her, I would say October, and she was probably Laurel that next April.
Is it difficult for you to have a relationship with somebody, the woman you love is a peer in the SCA, so there's a certain level of secrecy that resides around that. How is that for you both?
The secrecy thing isn't really that big of an issue. Every once in a while she'll just be over there sniggering or something like that. It's something that she's read on the Laurel list, or, she's like really fired up about something or someone, and just, we have an understanding of what that is, really the hardest aspect of me as a squire being married to a Laurel is that she's been playing for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so really my whole deal was just jumping into the deep end of the pool the second I walked in without ever having swam before. And there's a lot of catching up. There's things like the best way to get a tent set up and the best way to pack out the truck for an event and what to remember to bring and what not to bring. And oh yeah, we need to do this as far as bling goes and we need to up our game and things like that. I mean, for God's sakes, at the Penzic that we got together, she invited me into her tent and everything like that just to show me how the other half lives. And there's hanging racks that are covered in all kinds of fancy cloth, and she's got a wooden bed that she built, no Tupperware in sight, no anything. And let's see, that was my second Penzic. And so, going into my tent, the ridge pole had failed, so the center was drooped. I had grass floor. No, I had a painter's canvas floor. I had very impressive purple Tupperware furniture and a cot. And so just the juxtaposition of where she is versus where I was, it was hard. It was a big step, especially, coming into her situation and having to keep up because she is known as Mistress Extra now. I mean, everything that she does is just, if it's good, she wants it better. If it's better, it's got to be exorbitant. If it's exorbitant, we're just about right. And so, just coming in with my, nice bag of Squire clothes, it's just hard to keep up sometimes. But other than that, she's really patient and understanding, and she knows that I don't know everything, and she tries to catch me up. And she also understands that sometimes I get caught up in the whole spiel of running with a whole bunch of people that have been playing for 20, 30 years, and me just coming in. Sometimes it's really hard of, thinking, oh yeah, I should know how to do this because everyone I'm around knows how to do this, and I don't. So it's like, I don't realize I don't know how to do something until I go to do it. I get caught with that every once in a while.
Do you guys play the same period, or do you guys do your personas are different places and periods?
Oh, we are so different. So I play a 14th century hospitaller. And I started off actually playing Norman. And so it was a natural progression of, Rollo is done fighting. Now I need someone to go fight. So yeah, let's go on crusade. And she does just about anything. She can go since she's been playing so long, she has so many different options and so many different sets of clothes that she's put 60, 70, 80 hours into, one gown, that she'll tell you that she's really known for her Landsknecht. But she can come out, looking like a Viking. She can wear Elizabethan. There's nothing the woman can't do. So for me, it's really hard to kind of lock down exactly what her persona is. But as far as the two of us playing at the same time period, it'll never happen because priory wimples aren't ornate enough. So that's right out the door. That does not work. No. She's told me the story of how she's only worn nun outfit once, and that was actually for my knight's knighting. she said, never again. And that's pretty much it.
Wow. So how did you get into inkle weaving?
I actually got into inkle weaving during COVID. Yeah, I wasn't really fighting. I've got a job that deals with the public. So I didn't really feel safe going to any fighter practices, doing anything like that. And you can only do so much Pell work before you get a little bored. So, I needed to broaden my horizons out. And plus, during COVID, there's no courts to herald. So I needed something else, and I was getting bored. And so it was time to go down another rabbit hole. With her being a fiber artist, she taught me how to do it. And then the next thing I knew, I was just pumping stuff out like crazy. Now all my Squire brothers are slowly collecting their red cashmere belts. It works. But really with the inkle looming, I think what really keeps me in it and what keeps me going on with it, even though I'm a fighter and it takes a lot of energy doing that and going through all that, but I've never been able to drop the inkle looming because that giving someone a piece of art that you have made with your hands and seeing the way that their eyes light up when you give it to them and seeing how happy they are when they wear it, it's addictive. It's so addictive. And then, seeing all of your Squire brothers coming out wearing belts that you've made and them talking about how much they love them, it's irreplaceable. So it's just falling in love with it.
So what exactly is inkle looming? Just because I'm not familiar with the term.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Have you seen trim that's like this wide that looks like it's been woven with
there's examples. I can't show you there. I can show you this one. So this was made on an inkle loom.
Okay.
It's just a piece of trim that is actually going to be turned into some temple bands later. And yeah.
That's cool.
Now this is a lot more ornate than what I would do. I do very simple AV patterns and everything like that, which can look really, really good by the time they're finished, depending on color and everything like that. But that's more of a Baltic weaving pattern where you work in different patterns and things like that.
So do you focus on a certain time period for the weaving that you do? Do you look at, grave findings, books, or do you just say, I like the way this looks and do it?
Honestly, I'm at a point where I started off just putting combinations together of colors that I like. And right around the time that I got to where I would actually start doing research into different patterns, I realized that we had a need. So my Squire brothers and everything, as they were fighting with their Squire belts, they had tons of little bronze plaques on them and little bronze embellishments and things like that. And as they would fight with their Squire belts, these little adornments would just get knocked off. And they'd be scattered to the wind, and everyone's belts were starting to look cruddy. So that's when I started making belts for my brothers. And that's about as far as I've gotten, because I am just, as much as they love them, I am lost in a sea of red belts.
How many Squire brothers do you have?
Currently 7.
All right.
Yeah. That my knight is extremely inspirational in things that he does and the views that he has on things, and it's very magnetizing. And people are like I said earlier, he doesn't recruit. It's not a recruitment thing at all. So people see us when we all come out in our field dress and everything like that. We we attract attention. the way that my knight has put it all together, it's not just a bunch of squires wearing squire gear like I'm wearing right now. We all work on a continuous ANS project with our outfits. We all wear hospitaller outfits. We all have, we look like a military unit when we go out and we fight. And we do parades with cloaks and spears and coifs and helms, and we just build the entire outfit, and it's very noticeable. And people are just like, hey, what's going on over here with these guys? What's up with all the cross guys? So yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned when we were talking about Tarek, who introduced you to us,
Mhm.
was that you met him at a certain battle at Penzik. Can you tell us about that battle?
Oh, sure. So how do I want to go about this? So I met Tarek at the Crusader Saracen battle at Penzik. That battle was just a giant recreation battle of defending the gates of Jerusalem. Half of us dress up like Saracens, half of us dress up like your Templars, your Hospitallers, Teutonics, and we just crush in the middle. Up until that point, there with fighting, it just seemed like fighting for fighting. You pick a period, you go out, you do the best that you can, everything's good. You're having a good time, hitting your friends with sticks, as we say. The Crusader Saracen battle is one of those moments where I found the dream that we talk about, where you were sitting there and you see the Crusaders come after you, because at that battle we don't don our Hospitaller outfits. We actually dress as Saracens so that the sides will be evened out. But you're just sitting there in the gates at Penzik, and you see a military force coming at you, and they're all dressed the same way, and you're sitting there, and everything that you see on either side of you are these really bright embroidered pieces of cloth, and you get a sense that you were back then. You were seeing things as they saw them then. And I got lost in it. It was one of those like defining moments of why I love fighting. And it was where the history and the athletic sport met. And it just really, it was one of those moments where you just get lost. You're not in the modern world anymore. Yeah, it was one of those moments where you were just like, this is completely amazing. And then afterwards, after we all fought and everything, it was nothing but hugs. And actually, my knight gave Tarek a link from his chain for organizing that battle. Tarek was pretty much organizing it, running it, making sure that everyone was having a good time, getting everything together. And, that is what I attribute as one of my great moments of the SCA. It really was. It just seemed to me like it was the perfect amalgamation of everything that we do and everything that we look for. And it was just there.
Wonderful. Wow. The description of that is like perfect. I wish that's like in the brochure. Like that's how people need to hear about that, because I felt that way the first time I saw a field battle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I felt, I even saw when I felt a field battle. You know what I mean?
Oh,
the sides
yeah.
rushed in. That was just blown away by that. So again, we're kind of moving through time here. I definitely want to talk about this. So you love being a herald. You've mentioned it several times. So Talk to me a little bit about that process, because I don't think we've had anybody on the show yet who's really done that, as like one of their passions. So how did you find heraldry? What do you do? What do you love about it?
So I found SCA heraldry actually at my first Kingdom level event. It was a crown tournament, and I had done drama in high school and everything like that. Kind of missed the whole thing, and I've got really, really good voice projection, from years of doing that. So it just seemed like when I found out that it existed, I was like, okay, I'm a natural fit for this. I can do this, no problem at all. So I took a quick class that week before we left. I got set up to herald in procession, and then we had too many fighters show up, so they killed off all the procession and everything like that. And I was like, no. But before the event was over, the king decided to have a great court. And so he brought in, all of the landed barons and baronesses and everything like that. And I got to introduce my local baron and baroness to the kingdom at my first kingdom event. And I blew it away. They weren't expecting it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I've been doing it every chance I get ever since. Crown processions, great courts, baronial courts. I love it. I love it because you get to be a part of it. You get to, it's not just being the focus of attention, but you get to be there in the background to help out, seeing absolutely wonderful people get awards that they have worked so hard and deserve, and you get the front row seat for seeing their eyes light up when they get told, what award they're getting. And you get to read to them their scroll in front of everyone. You really, really, really just, you get to be a part of that special moment that they're always going to carry with them. And to me, it is just, what's the best way to put this? To me, there's nothing better. There's just nothing better at all. At all.
So have you put these abilities to use in other ways? In other words, are you a bard? Have you ever tried the bardic arts?
Much to my night's chagrin, no, I have not. So I let the wife handle all that. Oh, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for
I'm
that.
thinking of a duet. You guys can do a duet together.
Well, my problem is I have a lot of trouble controlling my register at a palatable volume. So singing and controlling notes and things like that, where I'm not making everyone around me's eardrums bleed, is a little rough for me. Now, if I need to speak to 300 people, I got control over that all day. That's no problem at all. But it's one of the major problems that I have, and honestly, I'm almost tone deaf, so it works.
There's always storytelling.
That's what I was going to say. I got fighters in my barony who were not typically, like, they didn't tell bard stories, but they told actual battlefield stories. We called it the no shit there I was night. Do you know what I mean? And they told, like, those kinds of things. Like, it was a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait. That's it. Tell us your best no shit there I was
It
story.
was.
Serious? Lay it on us.
What am I looking for that's not going to give me R&D? Let's see. No shit, there I was, sitting in camp. We had just gotten done with a great big battle at Titlle, and we were feeling good. Everything was fine. Weather was nice. And then we had a bottle of Kraken. 2 very big boys and 2 shot glasses.
Oh.
As time went on, as time went on, English is forgotten, court is unattainable. Dinner had to be subbed out to someone else to cook. And yeah, the rest is just of legend.
Nice.
That's about as G-rated as I can make that story. It's a lot worse, trust me.
All right. Where do you camp at Pensick so we can come find you with a bottle of Kraken?
Yeah.
Funny story, and I'm hearing my wife laughing from the other room, so I imagine she's tuned in. She was there for some of this. Actually, funny story, I'm not allowed to drink Kraken for the moment.
Because, yeah.
I have been, it's a challenge that my knight regularly hosts with, fighters that he's taken an interest with and everything like that. The GOA Fighting Level Award in Atlantia is called the Kraken. And I am actually not allowed to drink Kraken rum until I become a Kraken. So,
Letter writing campaign. Come on, everybody. Let's write Tiberius.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a dusty bottle of Kraken on my shelf right now. Just waiting. Just waiting.
So where do you camp at Pensick?
Right now we have been camping over by Atlantean Royal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your bio, you mentioned that you also are into cooking. Tell us how that came to be.
So, right before I joined the SCA, very appropriately, one of my really big hobbies, along with the friend that I joined along with, we cooked barbecue. That was our thing. We had actually gone in and researched Eastern North Carolina style barbecue, which is one of the oldest types and styles of barbecue in the country. And we had just been going through that and researching everything that we could find from early settlers and Native Americans on how it was cooked locally. And we had just about gotten to a point where we were doing catering jobs and doing birthday parties, things like that nature. And we were just about to open up a brick and mortar restaurant when we really sat down and did the numbers and figured out it wasn't viable for the way that we did everything versus what we would have to charge. So it kind of got on the wayside. But in doing that research that we did and trying to recreate the oldest, most traditional style of Eastern North Carolina barbecue, we found the SCA right afterwards. And so going back and researching, the old way of doing things and then recreating them is kind of what the whole thing's about. So right before I joined the SCA, that love of cooking was stoked, and then it just went forward. So another thing which works out really well, considering that my wife is really known for her period research and hospitality tables. So she has tons. I'm looking at a bookshelf right now full of period cookbooks there and there. So yeah, we've got 2 bookshelves that are almost completely brimmed over with it. So, sitting around, get bored, tired of, all the same old stuff, grab something off the bookshelf and start cooking. It just really works out. And then I think the first time I really fell in love with SCA cooking we had a recipe that was passed down. It was actually we all seem to go to these like newcomer dinners and things like that, where someone in the local group that's a little bit more established, they invite all the newcomers over and just hang out and cook dinner. And one of the things that was served was this dish that they were calling Icelandic chicken, where you just basically take a chicken thigh, cover it over in sage, wrap a pie shell around it, uh, wrap bacon around it, and then bake it off until it's done. And so sitting there at that first meal, eating one of these, what we dub Viking hot pockets, we I just had this moment of, wow, I am eating something that was conceived like, a couple thousand years ago. And it was just that wow factor, that was just there. And going through all these recipes and everything like that, and finding things that aren't in your modern palate, and finding all these different flavor combinations, and using ingredients that you would never think about in day-to-day cooking, based on where you are. It's just, I fell in love with it. It's all about expanding the palate and having the experiences, and going to feast and trying the different things at feast, and figuring out what you really like and what you really don't. I'm very adventurous with food, always have been. And the SCA was like the perfect rabbit hole for this.
Have you ever done a feast or assisted with the feast, or you just cook in camp?
Trying to think. I have actually helped out with one or two feasts, but it wasn't cooking. I did some prep work the day before, things like that, but really where I've actually helped out with feasts is heralding removes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So as the next dish comes out, I explain to the crowd everything that's in it, and go forward from there. But other than that, I've done a substantial amount of camp cooking along with my night. It's actually where we first figured out that we really clicked. Hanging out in the kitchen while he was cooking for our camp of like 20 plus people, and just sitting there, shooting the shit with him and laughing and joking and having a drink or two here and there, and then making sure that all food's coming out good and on time and everything like that. It's that sense of community in the kitchen that really just brought it all together for me.
Right.
It's not, of course, everyone enjoys eating. I'm a great big old boy. I love sitting down to a good plate of food and just rocking on and everything like that. But really, I found that with the SCA, it's, as much as I enjoy the eating, it's the getting there that really, 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 roped me in. Just hanging out in the kitchen, doing whatever.
All right, we're almost out of time. Believe it or not, we told you time would fly, and time has flown. So,
I guess it has.
last question that we ask all of our guests: what can the SCA do better?
I've actually been thinking about this in the back of my mind the entire hour. As far as what the SCA can do better, I really think that, because and here's what's really tying my mind up. Just about every example I can think of is very regional. As far as the society on a whole, I think that the society on a whole is actually doing a really good job with just most things. Really, I think that if there's something the society can do better, is doing a better job of really nurturing in the newcomers. Now, your local Shadowlands are going to hate me saying that, and it's not really getting on anyone's case. I don't think that people do a bad job. I just think from my own experiences that we really, really, really need to grab a hold of the idea that newcomers aren't just the lifeblood of our society. I mean, of course they are, but that's not all they are. Newcomers are people that are looking for something, just like I was. They're looking for their sense of community. They're looking for their bunch. They're looking for their clan of people. They're looking for their new hobby. They're looking for their place to be and their place to belong. And I really feel like that we need to make sure that that's being nurtured a little bit better.
How do we do that? How do we nurture our new people? I mean, you mentioned something that I've never heard of before, which is a newcomer's dinner. I think that's a brilliant idea, and I'm going to bring it back to my barony. I've never heard of anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things that we can do?
And that's why I was saying before I let anything fly out of my mouth, everything is regional. I think that, when you start looking at the society on the whole, at least, okay, where I'm at in the game and the focuses that I've had, it's really a hard, complex question for me because I'm just learning my kingdom. I know my kingdom. When I travel to other kingdoms, things seem really foreign. And, so then you start asking your knight 1,000 questions about, hey, I was up in East Kingdom and I saw this and it looked completely different. What's the deal with this? And what's the deal with that? So it's hard for someone of my experience in my station to grab a hold of a society-wide thing and say, hey, I feel like the society on whole could do this better. Where I really feel like, different regions get different things a lot more right than, other places. So I feel like, where the things that I'm talking about and making sure that these newcomers are being nurtured and, inviting them to things like newcomer dinners and things like that. I feel like, that may not be the problem everywhere at all. I feel like, a lot of people do get that right. But, with me, I think my focus on newcomers and making sure that they're nurtured and, being made safe and acclimating to different things and, making sure that they're understanding everything that's going on is I really I just feel like it's yeah, I'm at a loss for words. Sorry, y'all.
No, I mean, and what I was going to say is again, in 3 seasons of doing this, that's a pretty common thing that people bring up at the end of the show is to be more nurturing, to be more acceptive, to be more inclusive of the types of people when they come through the door. So, while yeah, I agree with you. Some places do some things better than others. We can all learn from each other. You just know that that's something that people have brought up from all over the place.
Right.
That concept.
And you're rare. I mean, you're telling us that you're having this incredible period of growth right now in your group. Most groups are not. Like you've got the magic touch happening in your community there because most groups are failing to bring in new blood. So I'd love to hear more thoughts if we had more time about how we can get more people involved in the SCA.
That was why I asked you about recruitment very early on, was because it just seemed like you found a way to get people through the door, which really has been an issue for all of us,
Yeah, and really the growth that's happening in our area, I don't feel like there's a blanket answer for how to fix recruiting in the SCA. I think you really have to realize where you are, the place that you are, the societal and demographical, challenges that are in your area. And then you have to, it's just going to work. or it's not. And unfortunately, I mean, you know, there's a town in just about 45 minutes of any direction that you go from the town that I'm in. What we're doing here won't work in any of them at all. We happen to just be lucky, you know. We've got people in this area that really, really, really love what they do. And when people come around, we share that love with them. And
So,
that's what keeps people coming back, and that's what keeps newcomers excited, and that's what keeps new people coming in the door.
so maybe
We've let our love of everything going on shine out, and it works.
and it seems to me like the groups that I think of don't do that. There's a lot of politics, there's a lot of, the board of directors, blah, 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 especially Facebook. We're not going to encourage new people to join the SCA if you go to Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. I think if we just spend our energy sharing the love we have for the SCA and what drew us all to the SCA, that we will get more people in the SCA.
And I
Yeah.
would say, to be honest, Tiberius, I wish I could bottle and share your passion for everything you talked about tonight and your sense of wonder. I think that my takeaway from you, as I always call myself the representative newbie, for our audiences, because I haven't been around all that long. And I look at the way you kind of approach each thing that you've talked about tonight with this, like, and then I fell in love with that. And I just felt like it's something I always should have been doing. And I went down that rabbit hole, and I went, if we named our episodes, this episode would be called the rabbit hole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that just, to me, like, just, I think is a big takeaway. And I really thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
Yeah, it's been really, really, really awesome to have your wonder reignite ours. So
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for coming in, for allowing me to come onto your show and just talk with you about it. And uh, really, I hope that, people can see this and remember what it was like when they first started. That's when I started, there were, of course, there were waves of people leaving and, coming as, every single time. But this will be the last thing before I leave out. I remember seeing, people talking about, okay, I'm done playing. I'm done. I'm out of here. This is my last ride. Bye. I can't take it anymore. And my biggest thought to all that wasn't saying, well, you don't want to be here, fine, bye. I actually, it saddened me because I was never going to get a chance to hear their stories and their experiences and the things that brought them so much happiness with doing what we do. And really, I mean, focus on fun. Everything else is bullshit. Quote my man Seamus from the East Kingdom.
You're awesome.
Nice.
All right, we have been talking with Tiberius of York here on Simply SCAdian, no title required. I do not know who our guest will be in 2 weeks. I'm still working that out, but it's going to be another awesome person. I can guarantee that. Have a great week, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone. Thanks for having me.